Here we go. It's time for another sprint zone. And this one's been delayed. This one's from way back in 627. Had some rendering issues with the output format of the new camera, but I've sort of got it figured out. Did this one kind of quick and dirty as the power isn't synced as good as I would have liked, but that would have taken me a lot more time, and it's getting late as far as getting it out, so that's it. Anyway, special thanks to Scott for providing his telemetry, as well as Curtis, who provided his, and also the inlay video. Scott has a new GoPro, so he provided that in the absence of Mr. Besserell, who is usually providing his. So we've got heart rate and power from all three of us, and I also added individual speeds for them also, so that you can see when I get separated, like what the speed differentials are, etc. But this will be interesting, and you can see now there is Scott's film up in the upper right hand corner as he is ahead of me, and we're entering the sprint zone. Pretty big crew today, and it's pretty warm. And I'm trying to think back, like, really what this day was like. I really like to do these videos like the week of so that it's fresh in my mind. But there's so many days in between. And so I'll just kind of give this one as I think I might have felt, or perhaps I'll be um, recollecting more with the visuals. Anyway, time to go, and we can see it looks like Wolfgang there and Hernan, and I need to be up near the front because too many people in front just means me getting gapped off, and it's not good film or whatever. Looking like Tony. Looks like there's Rob, got Joel there looking strong, Scott and Mr. Lawyer, and things are starting to hot up. Not a lot of power, but you can see here Tony is quick to be on my wheel. You can see the skill of the racer, not sitting back and waiting for other people to do stuff, but to be there in a position to make certain that you're there when the action is afoot. And this happens to so many people. They sit back and expect others to do it. But I like this because this is one of the days that the supers aren't really not here. And so we have to fend for our own. So Greg had hotted up the party early on, and it's now my turn to make certain to keep everybody honest, string things out a little bit, get the party started. Not a whole lot of wattage, but low 200s, it's enough to make people wake up. Looking behind there, Greg's looking very comfortable. It looks really good in that FCCT kit. Nice and tight. Got Marcelo back there. Looking at everybody's stroke. Looks like is that Scott on the outside, pushing a lot of wind by himself. You can see the Colorado shirt of Tony, and it looks like everybody is together, and it's pretty tight. Looking at Scott's camera in upper right, it's a good view, and you can see him sitting out there, obviously pushing a lot of wind. Curtis Jensen coming into the screen on Scott's camera, and we crest what used to be the hill, and now I am certain that many of those who are thinking about making things happen are happy that they have pushed their limits. But it's still pretty comfortable. It's like, what is up there? Anyway, there's Joshua looking strong on the right there. Got Marcelo, got his head down a little bit, looking strong though. Stroke not quite as smooth as Tony's, if I might say, but not bad. Oh, there's the legendary JC back there pointing out stuff. Got John behind him, and a whole host of others. Interesting, interesting. And you can see that there's a lot of coasting going on. And looking at our power, this is a portion where the guys up front are doing a lot of work. And if you have made it to this point, you are saving lots of energy. And this is where I like to make things happen because towing people to the line, and I'm way back here. You look at my power, 70 some watts, not much happening here, 100 watts, people just sitting in, and strong men like John Lloyd, strong men waiting to pounce. And now it looks like things are starting to hot up. I believe Tony's up front. I'm pushing 220 watts. And now I am starting to hurt. Oh, no, Marcelo at the front. Nice. So now near the front here, you can look at the differences in the wattage, and everybody is starting to really work hard. Scott was upwards of 600 there for a second, probably due to the fact that he was out in the wind a little bit. Marcelo gives it up. I take over. Perfectly happy to make certain things all strung out here. Mr. Lawyer looking strong. JC in good position. John back there looking good. Joshua looking good. And no selection has been made yet. It's interesting to see what Scott sees. And he's out in the middle of the road, got some good draft there, but not willing, or it doesn't look like he's wanting to come to the front just yet there. And I'm working pretty hard up here. You can see I'm behind Tony, and I had forgotten how strong Tony was. And at least relative to me, Tony's a lot stronger than he was last time he started coming out. So me being so close to the pointing end of the stick, I'm working pretty hard. You can see like John's passing me, and I'm doing 220 watts at the time. So I don't want to slot in too close. So I'm going to slot back here, hoping to sag back and get myself some shelter. Ian in the mix. Choppy stroke there. He's got to smooth that out one of these days, if that'll happen. Hernan looking strong, giving me some respect, letting me come in here. Isla sitting on Joshua back there. She's usually not one to participate in such things. I would be surprised that she didn't just drop off so, for safety reasons or whatever. But she's there. No selection yet. And I'm back further than I really want to be, at least as far as in contention. Oh, Marcelo let a gap open up there. And I guess maybe there's some slowness here, but you see the dropping of his head. It's almost like, yep, giving this one up. And now we got Joshua coming up on the right-hand side. I got mixed feelings about that. I mean, amongst the racers and the people who were seasoned, I don't have a problem. There's a lot of people that are not going to be expecting that, especially when it's riding the white line like that. I've seen a few times, or at least without announcing, and I've seen a few times where Ilka has come over. I've seen Greg come over. People thinking that, oh yeah, I should be able to move over to my right, only to be surprised by people just rocketing up to the right hand side. So if you're going to do that, like announce yourselves. I think that's probably a safer way to go. Anyway, this little riser and over 300 watts for me and 25 miles an hour, this is going to separate some people right here. Sitting behind, and I'm behind Joel, and I probably should have gone ahead. And I remember this moment precisely, and I'll just stop it here. Right here. This is where I got gapped off. I'm like, ugh. Anyway, we'll continue the thing. I'm surprised that John in the blue just didn't bridge that gap. I'm like, crap, you guys just waited too long. I was like, oh, I expected too much from John. Anyway, but you can see as I've switched the cameras, and now it is Scott's camera in the main view with the same telemetry, because this is where I got shelved, and me being back there working with Joel and Hernan isn't really that interesting. But we'll get a chance to see what's happening up front, and it's the big man JC, Curtis sitting in, and Tony. This is a really nice echelon here, and they are working pretty hard. And you can see, looking at Scott's speed, 30 miles an hour compared to my 25. This is where things are being separated. Regardless, it looks like Hernan and I and Joel, we're working pretty well together, but the game is over. Everybody's struggling up front, and you can see a good 5 miles an hour, almost 10-mile-an-hour difference between the strong man up front there. Curtis looking really strong. I don't know if he's put his nose into the wind, and if you haven't put your nose into the wind, you're fresh. Did I see a wiggle of the elbow from JC? Maybe, and no one's coming through. Tony's not coming through and taking the hint, but it is the sprint zone, so you can do whatever. Curtis, who had not done any work all day at the pointy end of the stick, as far as I could see, is now taking up the mantle, looking good. And Scott, opportunistically staying way, way back, not even following Curtis to the front. Um, is it a good move in a race to do this? Yeah. Is there respect to be had at this point? I don't know. I would have probably followed Curtis up there and done my turn, but maybe he just doesn't have it. Oh, yeah. And maybe I apologize because he just didn't have it, and he has given up the ghost. And oh, it looks like, is that Greg up in there? Or yeah, maybe Wolfgang. And there they go. Everybody is, well, with the cameras anyhow, lost contact. Anyway, looking at my view up in the upper right, Yeah, it's like Joel and I and her, and we're working pretty well together. Nothing too hard because, well, let's face it, we're just chasing for like 15th place. So, what can I say there? But it was good. That was kind of cool seeing everybody's power out there. I didn't really talk about it that much, but I think a good time was had by all. Very interesting. Oh, looking at the sprint, looks like Curtis almost 500 watts there. I can see Scott in no man's land, 14, 15 miles an hour. Well done, well done. Sliding back here, and I must say that like Joe and Hernan and I, we work pretty well together. I just really wish that either John had pulled around Joel when we were starting to lose contact. And I'm surprised because John's a racer. It's like either he didn't have it, and maybe that's what it was. And this is where why I don't like to be too far back because I get gapped off by people who either don't wiggle their elbows to give a signal, and if I'm not feeling super strong, which if I try to animate things like early on, I'm not going to be able to recover as well. But if I were saving myself, sitting in, not doing any work, and as long as my legs were fresh, I'd have the ability to close those gaps. And you'll see in next week's video, which I put out a couple days ago, I was able to close a gap with strongman up front because I hadn't done anything up front early on. Anyway, um, don't know what to say here. We had fun. Everybody strung out. And I should probably just stop the video here, but I won't. I'll give Hernan and Joel some camera time, let the friends and family see what they look like, give them a chance to see what they look like when they're like suffering here. Nice view of the field there. Um, am I pushing? I'm not turning my power lines up because of like the camera, cutting this into two files. I definitely need to probably start putting that in one file, starting the camera later. But for these things, when nobody really cares, um, I sort of do, but what can I say? Anyway, looks like a good time was had by all. Congratulations to everybody who made the selection. Not certain who won that one. I guess we might see here. I'm gonna guess it was probably JC. He's probably the strongest guy up there, or maybe Joshua. But maybe I held the camera on long enough to actually see the proper order of things here. What do we got? Um, looks like Wolfgang, then JC. Oh, so maybe Wolfgang got that one. Nice job. There's a few cars there being held up. They're being kind of courteous here. That was nice of them. Um, yeah, what can I say here? All right, anyway, till next time. Looks like I got some of the rendering things figured out. And party on.